Okay, I think I'm here now. Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good midnight, wherever you are. Sorry about the delay. I have to figure out a way to get my screen to share with myself here. So bear with me. I am at Diamond Mountain, where Geshe is beginning today to teach his Bridge to the Diamond Way 5 event. And give me just a second to get this PowerPoint open. And I will be more completely with you in one moment. Let me see, view notes. I had this all set up, but somehow when I joined Zoom, it all fell apart. Okay, I think we're good. Nope, that's the wrong one. Bear with me. Sorry for the delay. How is everybody doing today? Good. All right. I think, well, now that's not good. Almost there. It won't let me do both things at once, although it did yesterday. All right, let's see one more time. Oh, oh. Thank you, Kat. Hang on. Oh, this is so interesting. I don't know if I can teach this without looking at my PowerPoint. I don't think I can, but there it is. All right, let's try it one more time. Yay! I think we're good. All right, so Marina, let's have the first slide after the title slide. Okay, so this is the Lama House at Diamond Mountain, and that's where I am. I'm sitting right in front of a big statue of Vajrayogini, and a lot of people are here, and we're doing all kinds of things. So if you still have the opportunity, Geshe Michael will teach his first classes today around 3:45 p.m. Arizona time, and you can still sign up. So think about that. All right. Let's have the next slide. Okay, let's recite this. This is our verse. Chapter 3, verse 26 of the Bodhisattva Charya Avatara by Master Shantideva. Shantideva. I don't have my drum here, so you'll have to bear with me. All right. On the count of 3, open your mics, and we're going to go through this together. 1, 2, 3.
Tattha tuna maya karyam mokolo chikarinam nirmalasya lasyarsya halanko bhavet yatha.
Beautiful. Yatha. Beautiful. Very well done. That was great. Okay. All right. You have to hang in there one more moment. I have to get another PowerPoint up. Wait, this is not the right one. This one will be the right one. Where are you? Oh my goodness. Bear with me again. Diamond Mountain is a place of amazing complications. All right. Nope, not yet. Almost. I think you're still there because I can hear you, but I can't seem to see you. Let me see. No.
Yes, we're here. We're still here.
Good, good. So I don't have to reopen. Let's see if this is better. Yes. Okay. Now, last week, we worked on a lot of things in the second half of our verse. We identified, sorry about my voice. See, now the voice is going. A lot of when you when you go to a excellent teaching, often you get many obstacles that you don't expect because of the goodness that you are all doing here. So we have to be a little patient. We worked on identifying the number and the case of the masculine nouns ending in short in this verse. And those are the nouns that decline, like yoga. We found several in our verse, and we identified their number and case. We found karya, and we found nirmalasya, nirmala, and we found kula, and a number of other ones. And we worked on verbs. We saw that bhaved is a verb with a little bit of vowel consonant sandhi at the end, but it's an optative present tense verb in the third person singular. And we learned a little bit about the tenses. Now, let's see if I can make this move. Yay. So I want us to decline together yoga from memory. And I'm not going to give you any charts. Maybe you have your index card, you can use that, or you have it on your phone or pinned somewhere as an aid to memory. But let's recite the 24 forms of the declined noun of yoga together now. So I'll lead you. You can follow along if you don't have it, but we have to memorize this one. All right. 1, 2, 3. Open your mics. Yoga.
Yoga.
Yoga. Yoga.
Yoga.
Yoga.
Yoga.
Yoga.
Yoga.
Yoga.
Yoga.
Yogasyam,
Yogyam, Yogebyaha, Yogat, Yogabyam, Yogebyaha, Yogasya, Yogayo, Yoganam, Yoge, Yogeyo, Yogesho, Yoga, Yogao, Yoga.
Very good. Okay, so you have it down pretty well. So now we're going to continue with the second half of our verse. All right, next. Oh, there it is. It's right up there. Let's recite this in Sanskrit one more time. 1, 2, 3. Tata na ya Gorgeous. All right, well done. All right, next slide. So the next slide. Okay, I just said that. Right, we worked on all that. Let's see what comes next, Marina. That we just did. Yes, okay. So here are our famous nouns that we're working with. And we're working on the second line. And the vocabulary tells us that nirmalasya is, it's written right there for you, but, well, no, it isn't actually. What case is that based on our declension of yoga that we just recited? Nirmalasya, what case? Yes, Elena.
Genitive.
Is that Elena? She has her hand up.
No, I have a question regarding declination. We are learning like by nominative, accusative, or we're learning like singular, dual, plural, or there's no, doesn't matter how. So because I'm studying it like all singular, and then all dual, and then all plural, and you are repeating other way around.
Yeah,
You're repeating
yeah.
all the noun and then accusative. What's the difference, or is it not different?
The typical way of declining a noun is to go all the nominatives
Okay.
and all the accusatives. But if you wish to do it another way, that's of course your option.
Okay, I just want to know the
Yeah,
typical way.
it's
Okay, thank you so much.
no other reason. Okay, great. And who said genitive? Is that
Me.
Maria?
Kati. Kati.
Kelty?
Yes. I
Okay.
thought genitive.
Genitive. What number? Plural, dual, singular?
I think singular.
Singular. Yes, absolutely right. It's a genitive singular. And what about kulasyasya? We talked about this last week. What case?
It's genitive.
Should be the same
Same, genitive singular. And how do we explain that long in asya?
because it's two words together.
Yes, exactly.
Vowel sandhi.
Vowel sandhi.
Sandhi.
Vowel sandhi, exactly. Okay. And we did the last three words. We saw that yata is a correlative conjunction. It goes often with the first, what's in the first line, which is tata. You see them together. And it's a sort of, thus is the case, which blah, blah, blah. Question? Okay. And we saw that that beautiful word na is a simple indeclinable that means not. So that's very easy. And we went through baved, which is the optative third person singular present tense of the verb bu bhavati. And that is a very common word, which you will find a lot, which means to be or become. And we did the conjugation of that. Now, there's only one word left that we haven't talked about. What is that word?
Yata.
No, we just talked about that. Yata is the correlative conjunction that goes with tata.
Kalanko.
Kalanko. All right. So what on earth is that? All right, let me see if I can change this slide here. Oh, there we go. No. I'm doing things a different way, so it's a little bit difficult. All right, let's have the next slide, and let's see how our Sanskrit font looks, Marina. Perfect. Yay. All right, we're struggling with the fonts, and this one has to look right for us to talk about it sensibly. So there's many things to look at here. Sorry about my voice. And first, let's look at the Devanagari.
There's a compound consonants.
Compound consonants.
K.
Only one compound consonant, but it is, as we say in America, a doozy. This is an American idiom meaning it's quite something. Look at that amazing compound consonant. So we went over compound consonants in organic Sanskrit too. And I gave you many lists because practically every consonant can combine with any other consonant. And maybe 80 or 90% of the time, you can figure it out because they look more or less like the ones we have learned, like the standalone consonants. And that is the case here, and we'll talk it through in a moment. But sometimes, particularly like the compound consonants of ksha and zhna, that we went through, they look very different, so you have to become familiar with them. And because it's organic Sanskrit, we will do this as we go along. But they can be two consonants together, which this is, or three, or even four put together. And the way you recognize them and the way you deal with them is by understanding that there is no vowel in between them. So there's no automatic even though it's not written, it's not there in this case. And there's no other vowel. So the best thing to do if you're looking at a piece of Sanskrit and you can't figure out the consonant is to look online and just look at all those many combinations and find out which one is the one you're looking at. I am hoping to have a place on the platform, the ACI and DCC platform, to put all of these things, and then we could put lists of compound consonants. But right now, if anybody wants them again, I'll send the ones I sent you in OS2, or you can look them up. But in this case, the N and the K are put together in a compound. And this is a very common way of making a compound consonant. You take one sort of downstroke and you add the second letter underneath it, sort of attached to it. Now, let's look at the very first letter in that word. What is that letter? Who remembers?
Ka.
What?
First varga, ka.
Ka, first varga, first letter, ka. First letter in the consonant alphabet. So if you're looking things up in dictionaries, ka comes right near the beginning. And what is that second letter?
La.
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 Yeah. Now, what's ambiguous about the la?
It's something in between.
It's something in between?
Between la and the last like sign. There is
There's nothing.
la. The
La. Nothing in between, really.
Is there a semivowel?
Yeah, that's the ambiguity. Is it a semivowel or is it a consonant? And that's what we have to decide. Now, what would it look like if it was a semivowel?
It's a
this
consonant.
na and ka.
It's
No.
okay, one at a time. First, Andreas, what did you say?
I said it's a consonant.
Why do you know that?
Well, at the moment, I can't remember what the semivowel looks like,
Okay.
but it seems like it's a self-standing letter, so it is a consonant.
Yes, and that's
automatic vowel.
yes, it's a great way to rationalize it. We're looking at the I asked, and we see that it has a vowel attached to it. Right? If you look at the title here, Kalanko, the ka has a and the la has an so it can't be a vowel in this case. The second way we would know that for sure is as we look at the Devanagari, if it were a vowel, it would have an extra tiny little hook on the far end of that downstroke. So it would have a small curve on it, and this does not have it. Therefore, even though we're not sure when we look at it, when we look carefully, either at the ayast or at the actual Devanagari, we see that it is a consonant here, functioning as a consonant. Okay. All right, let's see what else. And we know there are two short A's because the K and the L have no other markings. So they have automatically attached short And what about that very last downstroke? What is that? Have we seen that before?
Oh,
Oh, how do we know that?
the feather on top.
Perfect. The single feather on top of a downstroke means it is not a long because it has a feather, and it's not an e because it doesn't have a curl attaching it to a consonant. It just has a single feather on top of it. And that is how you write the O in, I'm going to say 100% of Devanagari, unless for some reason it's a word that begins with O at the beginning of a sentence. And I can't think of one. Not saying there aren't any, but I don't know any. So this is how the O is typically written. A downstroke with a feather that is over on top of the sutra. All right, so we know it's O. But why is it O? Let's have the next slide.
It's a Sandhi.
Aha. That's the answer to every puzzle in Sanskrit. Okay, so in an earlier slide, I put kalanko in yellow, which meant that it was a masculine noun ending in short yeah. So we know very well how you decline these nouns, yoga. Where in the chart of yoga, in your mind or on your phone or on your index card, where is a short O ending in a masculine noun ending in short? Look at your charts and tell me where that exists.
Nowhere?
Nowhere. Yes, exactly. Don't see it because it ain't there. So let's see the next slide just for emphasis. I don't know if I put this in. We are reaching a milestone today. We are going to dive into Visarga Sandhi. So just to recap, we have had already a little bit of Sandhi. We've had vowel Sandhi, where we just saw, like in Kulasya, when you have a short and the next word begins, or the next ending begins with a short you put them together as a long And we've had a little bit of consonant Sandhi because we changed the T in Baved to a D, Baved, in front of a soft consonant that followed it, yata. The Sanskrit ear thinks you cannot say Baved yata. You have to say Baved yata. And we tried that and we sort of agree. It's easier to say Baved yata than it is to say Baved yata, stop and go on that way. They don't like those stops. They like a flow. Okay, so we've had those two kinds of Sandhi, bits of Sandhi, vowel Sandhi and consonant Sandhi. But now we have Visarga Sandhi. So let's see what the next slide is. What did I put? Okay, so why is this such a big deal? Well, Visarga Sandhi is very frequent. And often it does things that you wouldn't expect and you can't find in any of your charts. And it really helps us understand to the degree to which Sanskrit is a sound-based language, because the Sanskrit ear is so sensitive to the way things sound that it changes things in almost every sentence. So if you understand the rules of Visarga Sandhi well, this will smooth the path of your understanding Sanskrit. So I think it's very important. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so Kalanko is actually a masculine singular nominative noun. So it really should be what? Look at your charts and tell me what the proper ending for a masculine singular nominative noun ending in short is. What would be the proper ending?
Aha.
Kalanka.
Kalanka. Exactly. Kalankaha. Kalankaha. All short letters, right? Kalankaha. And by the way, Kalankaha or Kalanka, which is the dictionary form, means stain, right? Or something unclean. So why is the ending O and not aha? And we just went over this. The Sanskrit ear feels you cannot say Kalankaha na bhavedyata. It just doesn't work for that ear. So Kalankaha becomes Kalanko. But why? Let's go to the next slide. This is rule number 1 of Visarga Sandhi, and we will compile a number of rules. I don't know how many rules there are. I've never counted them. When you study Visarga Sandhi in grammar and traditional grammar books, they usually just keep telling you, oh, this is another Visarga Sandhi rule. And I've never seen them all grouped together. And in a way, that's good because they might be overwhelming. They can get very complex, but they always have a rule supporting them. And once you learn even a handful of the Visarga Sandhi rules, you will be much better able to navigate in Sanskrit. So the Visarga Sandhi rules have to do with what comes before the Visarga and what comes after the Visarga. So you have to pay close attention to the before and after, the vowel before and what follows, which could be either a vowel or a consonant. For instance, in Kalankaha Nabhavedyata, Kalankaha is followed by what kind of letter? Look at your verse there. I have it in Ayast. After Kalanko, which we know is Kalankaha, what is that letter? What is the first letter of the next word?
Na or the...
Yeah. Kalankaha na. That's what they think you can't say. And what kind of a letter is na? A vowel or a consonant?
Consonant?
Consonant. So we need to figure out what kind of consonant it is. So what do you know about the letter N, written like that in the IAST? What varga and what quality does it have?
It's dental,
It could
isn't
be
it?
hard and soft and hard. Both.
Not soft and hard. That's too Tibetan for me.
Soft. It's soft, dental.
Soft, dental.
Oh,
Exactly.
dental.
Right. Because all the nasals in the last column are dentals. I mean, are soft. There I go. And we know it is a fourth varga. It's a dental. So let's keep that in mind. Okay. So now let's think about the visvarga. Here we know, because it's nominative masculine singular, that is kalankaha. So what sort of letter comes before the visarga? You can see it there. I put it in the IAST under the red rule.
Sorry, what's the question?
Also N. Yeah.
No,
Guttural. No.
that's it. Look at the visarga. And the visarga is represented by the H with the dot under it. That's how you write visarga.
Okay. Ka.
Now, that's not the letter before it. That's the consonant before it. What's the letter before
The vowel ah.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
We have become so used to the Sanskrit which is not written, that we don't even see it now. But there it is. The letter that goes before the visarga is always a vowel. Because when we learn the vowels, visarga was one of them, right? Let's do it. Okay, we have to do it once per class. 1, 2, 3, open your mics. I.
U,
R,
R, lir, lir, I, O, aha.
That aha is your visarga. So while it's not exactly a vowel itself, but it is a vowel marker, and it is always attached to a vowel. In this case, it's attached to an and that's going to affect your rules of Visarga Sandhi, because you're going to have a different rule for each vowel that is connected to the Visarga. Here, the rule is for a short But how many vowels do we have?
16.
16. So how many Visarga Sandhi rules at least are we going to have?
At least 16.
16. Luckily, some of them, like the gunas and the vardis, are the same. So there won't be a full 16 rules. But I need you to become very sensitive to what vowel is preceding the visarga and what letter is following it, because that's how the visarga decides what it becomes. So there's a lot to come. It's all very exciting. And this is the first Visarga Sandhi we have encountered. And Visarga Sandhi doesn't care whether it's a noun or a verb. It doesn't care what part of speech a word is. It only cares if there's a Visarga. So it can be anything. If you think of, yes, Andreas.
Sorry, finish your sentence.
If you think of the declension chart of yoga, there's a lot of visargas in there, right? Like the genitive dual is yoga yoho, and the ablative plural is yogebhyaha. I mean, yeah, I guess it's see, I'm not remembering, instrumental plural. Yogebhihi. Anyway, you have your chart. I'm not remembering properly. a lot of visargas in that chart. And if you think back to the chart that we looked at of the verb bhu bhavati, there were a lot of visargas there too. So you frequently encounter visargas in different declensions and different conjugations. Okay, Andreas, what is your question?
In your last sentence there, you said if visarga with A is followed by a consonant. So you are not referring to the fact that the following consonant is fourth varga, soft, etc. So it means any consonant. It could be ka.
Any consonant can follow a visarga. It's completely wide open.
But this rule will apply to all of them.
No. And we will go through that. That's a great question. No, it won't apply to any consonant. It's going to be specific to the kind of consonant it is. So let's proceed. You're thinking ahead very accurately. Okay. All right. So visargas just occur whenever they occur. We just memorize those forms. But every time you would expect a visarga, you must be prepared to not see it, to see something else instead, and something that doesn't look like the declension or the conjugation that you would expect. So if a word ending in a visarga is combined with other words in a sentence of any kind, and of course it's almost always going to be, unless you're teaching a grammar lesson and just take a word out, that combination of words means that the visarga at the end will shift to something else. In this case, it shifts to O. And the reason is, let's look at that rule in red there. If we have to look at it very precisely because it answers Andreas's question. Aha. And that means that's a short attached to the visarga, aha, plus a soft consonant means that is dropped, the visarga is dropped, and that entire letter becomes O. So any soft letter following a short with a visarga is going to become O. So give me some examples of other soft consonants that could follow a visarga besides the na. We've decided that na is a fourth varga, a dental soft letter consonant. What are some other soft consonants?
Ga,
Ga.
ga,
Ga, yep.
ja,
Ja.
da,
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 Ha,
ba,
da,
yeah.
ha,
What about the last 8 consonants we learned? What are those?
sa,
Yeah, the sa.
sha, sha, the o, ha.
Wait. I'm going to switch that. The sibilants are hard. Yeah. But what about the yara lava?
Yara lava. Yeah.
they're soft.
Yeah.
Soft. They're soft.
Yeah. And I forget the ha. I think the ha is soft too, but I have to look that up because we hardly have that. Okay, so any of those letters, if you think of the grid of 25 by 5, the 25 main consonants, the last 3 soft, plus the semivowels. Okay, so any of those letters, this rule would apply to. So if they started the word that followed the varga, the visarga, they would change to O, but only if what vowel was involved with the visarga. What if I had yoga yoho? Would this rule apply to yoga yoho? That would be the letter O attached to the visarga. Okay, the answer is no, it wouldn't, because this rule is specifically for aha.
All right.
See? Yeah. And if it was yogai, would it apply to this rule?
But also maybe not.
Definitely not. Right. And what if it was karuna or duna ending in a long A?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wouldn't, because there's no visarga.
No. Long and visarga has its own rules.
My God.
Yes, my God. No, it's great. It really it makes it so much fun to figure these things out. But that's why I'm making such a big fuss about the fact that we have reached Visarga Sandhi, because now we can learn these rules and it will open up the way to translate Sanskrit very strongly for us. So this is where we start to separate, we say the girls from the women. The real women can do Visarga. We separate the boys from the men. The real men can do Visarga. So you are strong and you can do this. Do not be overwhelmed. So this rule only has to do with the short and the Visarga and a soft consonant. Okay, Andreas has something in the chat.
It's a message from AI.
Oh my gosh, no. AI. Imagine how AI would translate Sanskrit, but I hate to say it, I'm sure it would do a perfectly fine job. But we won't go there today. Yes, all right. So anyway, this is our first rule of Visarga Sandhi. We also have the lovely rules of consonant Sandhi, which we've begun to explore, and vowel Sandhi, which we've begun to explore. But those I think you will find are very intuitive. So we don't need to spend a lot of time on them. But the rules of Visarga Sandhi we will memorize. And maybe at the end of this series, I have put together a list of what I call Christina's 7 rules of Visarga Sandhi. Not comprehensive, but if you write them out on a famous index card, they will help you when you're working within a Sanskrit sentence to see what the possibilities may be. So I don't want to get too crazy today. Visarga Sandhi rule number 1 is plenty. But there you go. So let's see, what else do I have to say about that? Okay. So anytime a visarga is in a sentence, you may not see it because it's changed to something else, and you need to recognize those markers. O is a big marker because a lot of words in Sanskrit end in short visarga, yogaha. And so a lot of them are followed by soft letters and they turn into O's. So yeah.
And all of this because they have a certain way of pronunciation and how they can hear, how it's much easier to hear because of that, yeah?
Exactly. They are so sensitive to the sound.
Yeah.
And
like, because it's the Buddhas, it's language of the Buddha, they have to be sensitive.
well, we've talked about how magical and sacred a language Sanskrit is. And so the fact that it's sound-based is significant because it affects the channels of the body, the vibrations of the prana. I mean, just the way we breathe when we pronounce anusvara, we make everything very nasal or we flatten it out. Very sensitive to how the sounds are. Yeah, amazing. Amazing.
If I'm chanting Arapatsana di 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 at a certain time, I'm having like vibration here. Like I feel energy. I feel no more sound. It's vibration. So that's why it is really. And if I'm changing how I pronounce, and this vibration is also changing. So I'm practicing this, and it's amazing, really.
Yes. And you're doing it correctly. As I mean, this was 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 years ago, but we have done the best we could to preserve the knowledge. And now we are transmitting it. And you, Elena, are saying that you feel the effects of correct pronunciation.
We need it for secret teaching.
You have no idea, or maybe you do. The more
I do.
studies you do, the more you need this information, because this connects directly with pranayama and all of the breathing techniques, many of which we already have learned, and many more we will learn moving down the path. So it's very, very sensitive and very important stuff. Okay, all right, let's try for the next slide. So I thought that we would look at this question of O, because not every time you see an O is it Visarga Sandhi. So we saw in the line in our first half of the verse, the word kulochita. And I want to know, do you think that that is Visarga Sandhi?
No, because it's only just double A.
It's a combined vowel.
Combined vowel.
It's actually not a double A, or that would just be a long A. It would be kulachita, and it's not. So what we saw was that kula and uchita are next to each other. So one word ends with a, and the next word begins with a u. And in Sanskrit, you cannot say kula uchita because you would have to stop in between. You would break the flow. So you're going to say kulochita because a and u are affiliated with the o, which we talked about. So this kulochita is actually an example of vowel sandhi, right? It's not Visarga Sandhi, even though it has an O in it. So kula means family, and uchita is a word, an adjective meaning fitting or suitable. So kula uchita becomes kulochita. So when a short ends one word and the next one begins with a vowel, we have to have vowel sandhi. But it's not Visarga Sandhi. So make the distinction in your minds among at least the three things we know so far: vowel Sandhi, consonant Sandhi, and Visarga Sandhi. And you can see that Visarga Sandhi is different because it's not just all vowels or all consonants. Kulochita is two vowels. Bhavedyata is two consonants. This is a mixture of the vowel with the visarga and the consonant that follows. It doesn't have to be a consonant, so I shouldn't say consonant, the letter that follows. Andreas.
Sorry, I'm confused. You just said this is a visarga, but this is not a visarga, right?
Kulochita is not.
And if you,
that was incorrect. I should have said vowel sandhi.
So if you have a visarga and the next word starts with a vowel, would that be vowel sandhi?
No, anything with the visarga trumps anything else. So it's visarga sandhi. Different rules. If it's two plain, unadorned vowels, that's vowel sandhi. But once you put a marker on it, you get a different rule, series of rules. Okay, so we did that, and I'm reading my notes here. All right, I think I covered all of that. And let's look at the next sentence, slide. So when you see an O in a sentence, three options are very likely. It could be visarga sandhi. And here I've written the whole verse out, or most of it. Kalankona bhavedyatha. That's how you would typically see it in Sanskrit. So that O appears, and you don't know whether it's something like kulochita or it's whatever. But in this case, we take it apart and we find out that it's visarga sandhi. But the second bullet, a lot of time, it's just an O, like loka, which means world, or shloka, which means sacred verse, or words. There's just a regular vowel. It doesn't have any significance for grammar. And sometimes it's just vowel sandhi, like kulochita. So when you look at O's, you have to be suspicious, but they're not always guilty of being visarga. All right, let's try the next sentence. Okay. So a few minutes, enough with the visarga sandhi for the moment. Last week in the Telegram chat, someone asked a question about dictionaries. Like, what is a good dictionary? Now, one thing to be aware of is, as students, we want what is called a Sanskrit to English dictionary. And I use English just because I'm teaching in English. It could be your language, Sanskrit to da-da. You don't want the other way. You don't want English to Sanskrit. I don't want to know, how do I say rubber band in Sanskrit? I mean, you don't. It's an ancient language. So we're always going to be looking for a Sanskrit word that we want to know more about. So our dictionaries will be Sanskrit to English. My favorite source for this is this amazing site. And maybe next time we can do a screen share and study something, but it's called wisdomlibrary.org, a wisdom library, and this is the URL. And if you go there, there's a search box in the top right. You can put your word in there. And luckily, my experience is it doesn't have to be completely correct. You can leave out the diacriticals. You can just use the dictionary form. You don't have to have the proper ending. But what it does is it takes you to pages and pages of information in different Asian cultures, if that's appropriate for this word. And it's run by a single man, a young guy who lives in the Netherlands. His name is Gabe Hiemstra, but you don't need to know that. You saw that. Okay, yeah, I sent that in a telegram, I think to you, Kathy. And what I mainly like about it is at the very end, you may have 20, 30 pages of information. So you have to scroll to the end, and you will see that he has compiled dictionary entries for that word from many different dictionaries. And one section alone of all this information will be Sanskrit. The other languages might be Marathi or Nepali or Pali, but you can ignore those. Just look for the heading Sanskrit at the end. And what I really like about this is that in very clear type, he has faithfully reproduced the sections on that word from 4 or 5 different dictionaries. And that is invaluable because sometimes the meaning you want does not appear in one dictionary, but will in another. And then another important point is the sources he uses are good quality Sanskrit dictionaries. I want to caution you about going on the internet and just looking up anything. Number of the dictionaries there are of poor quality, so you have to know which one you're looking at. And the standard for dictionaries is a dictionary called Monier-Williams. You may have heard of this. And it is let's look at the next slide. I think we have time for this today. Sorry about the fine type, but you can look at this later. Monier-Williams, who is this guy? So his first name was Monier, and his last name was Monier-Williams. Very unusual and odd. He lived in the 19th century, and he was a Sanskrit scholar at Oxford University. And he compiled a massive Sanskrit dictionary. Now, I would caution you, it is very Hindu-centric. Many of the references are to Hindu traditions and deities, not incorrect, just not always useful for us. And sometimes his Buddhist definitions are lacking because he was mostly talking to people who had a Hindu tradition. But he's very, very good quality and reliable, very dense. And very quickly here, you can look at this later, there's a wonderful app for your phone, the Android version only, put together by a guy named David Braginski. You have to pay for it. I put $4 here. I think it has gone up, but I have it. And although I'm not fond of looking at my phone, it is very useful. It's very efficient and well put together and easy to read. There is an iPhone version, which I don't have an iPhone, so I have not tested it, of the Monier-Williams dictionary. And I put the information here, so you could try that. My favorite is Wisdom Library, which we've just talked about a little bit. And there are many, many online versions of Monier-Williams. My problem with those is our transcription method, IAST, usually is not an accepted input method in these online dictionaries. So you might have to learn iTrans, which I find annoying, but not hard. And of course, you could buy a print version of Monier-Williams. I have one. But the font is challenging to read. It's a 19th century font. And honestly, that it has been reproduced. They haven't reset it in type. They just keep reproducing it. And it's getting very blurry. Even a $100 big hardcover is difficult to read because it's blurry and it's in a, for me at least, difficult to read font. So I don't really recommend that, but you're welcome to try that. So feel free to play in these dictionaries, see what you come up with, and we'll try to deal with any questions you might have next time. And again, I want to remind you that Bridge to the Diamond Way 5 is starting today. You can still sign up. Geshe Michael hasn't taught his first class yet. And please, 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 on your to-do list for tonight, 30 seconds rejoicing that you're doing this important and holy work. Elena, you have a question.
No, I just wanted to, but we don't have so much time. I will put in chat about Panini. I want to ask about the grammar from Panini.
Panini, okay.
Panini, yeah, okay.
Talk about Panini next time. Very good.
Okay.
Okay, great. Talk to you next week. Thank you, everyone, for doing this.
Thank you so much.
Don't give up. It's going to get better.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Спасибо за перевод. Спасибо всем. Thank you for translating.
Спасибо всем.
Спасибо всем. Всем. Пока-пока. До следующих встреч.